Shmai, I recently had a student contact me regarding the situation for LGBT plus individuals in Russia. After watching a documentary called Welcome to Chechnya, they were really disappointed in how little the LGBT plus community across the world knew about how people are suffering in Russia, and they wanted to raise awareness for that. And I thought a video might be an accessible way for people to learn, so I'm going to be discussing some of the information they sent me. First of all, a big trigger warning regarding homophobia and violence towards the LGBT plus community. Members of the LGBT plus community who currently live in Russia don't just face homophobia from local communities, but also they face harassment and discrimination by authorities. This discrimination from local communities is probably derived from the times of the Soviet Union, because it was illegal to be a homosexual. This was driven from the political agenda of the Russian government at the time. This has taken place in smear campaigns against LGBT plus activists, as well as verbal abuse and physical violence. However, because the police and authorities themselves in Russia are biased, most of these crimes go unreported. The Russian Criminal Code does not include the LGBT plus community under its Hate Crimes Act, so any of these instances of discrimination, the ones that do actually get reported, often go uninvestigated by the authorities. Because the Criminal Code does not specifically state crimes against sexual orientation, the community is rarely investigated when it comes to hate crimes. I think more detrimentally, a larger scale, is that neo-Nazis have also been organising smear campaigns against anyone who speaks out against homophobia, as a way to further harass the LGBT plus community. The most well-known, infamous of these is called Occupy Paedophilia, and they are a group that claim to hunt paedophiles, but in practice they go out and they physically attack LGBT plus people. They also film these assaults and distribute these videos on the internet. But unfortunately, the Russian authorities and police are unwilling to investigate. In August of 2020, one of the pages for this vigilante group had 84,000 followers. However, these hate crimes against the LGBT plus community do not only take place they are not only limited to one-person instances. There have been frequently the far right have disrupted LGBT plus pride parades, and they have also put pressure on landlords to cancel contracts for housing LGBT plus individuals. They have also put out false bomb threats to cancel pride events for the LGBT plus community. In this year, 2020, the Russian pride events were being disrupted by religious groups. A further issue with the criminal justice system in Russia when it comes to LGBT plus individuals is that anyone who uses that system to report a hate crime may fear that they will have their LGBT plus identity exposed to the public. The fact that LGBT plus individuals are in no way protected by the state in Russia will only act to amplify the homophobia and discrimination that is perpetuated by social groups. If homophobia is eliminated in Russian law enforcement, victims will be safe to come forward about acts of hate crime and discrimination against them, so that the wrongdoers can be rightfully perpetrated. Hate speech against the LGBT plus community in Russia seems to come from everywhere. It comes from politicians and religious figures and even TV personalities, because the Russian media still views homosexuality as a joke, and whilst they censor LGBT plus voices, they do nothing to censor discrimination against the community across their media channels. There are multiple sources of Russian politicians making homophobic statements and openly bashing pride events. Fortunately, I have been sent a lot of information on this, which I will put in the comments section. However, like the rest of this video, there is a massive trigger and content warning for violence and homophobia. Since 2017, it has become known that LGBT plus individuals are being unlawfully detained in Chechnya. However, just because we were aware of these events from 2017 does not mean it was good before that, because before that, LGBT plus individuals were being paid off massively by law enforcement for very large amounts of money to be systematically blackmailed for their silence. This was so that the police would keep knowledge of their sexuality quiet from their family and the general public. However, in 2017, this moved from a person-to-person instance to a massive purge on the LGBT plus community in Chechnya. The Chechnyan government actually has several secret prisons which are used for the detention of LGBT plus people. In these prisons, the inmates are abused in a variety of ways, physical, psychological, and they are being tortured. After several weeks of being detained, inmates are often handed over to their families, which most usually results in their murder, because Chechnya is a Muslim region. The families practice honour killings, where they murder their own LGBT plus relatives. That is, of course, only the case for people who survive their detentions in these prisons. Russian authorities have just denied the request to go and investigate these Chechnyan prisons, because, as we discussed earlier, they are themselves inherently homophobic and discriminatory towards the LGBT plus community. And then, of course, the Chechnyan officials also deny any existence of such places. But again, I will try and link the survivor stories that were sent to me. The only real way for people to currently escape this inherent discrimination is to seek asylum in Western countries. However, in the UK, the number of people seeking asylum for their sexual orientation from Russia is incredibly low, and it is most likely because the individuals have to be here. They have to get here first before they can seek asylum. And in many cases, for those escaping from Chechnya, they can, but they are still in Russia. And it is a battle in itself just to get here. I was just sharing this information because it is not well known, it is not well discussed by those in Western countries and in the UK. We have the power to put pressure on Russia to stop killing our community. If we spread the knowledge of these horrific events which are currently happening, we can support our family in the LGBT plus community in Russia and specifically in Chechnya.
I would like to thank the student who shared this information with me, and also Amelia for helping me edit this video. If you would like more information on this campaign, you can follow me on Twitter at lgbttranscsu or email me at lgbttransofficer@cardiff.ac.uk.